Hello and welcome to All Living. In today's episode, I'm going to show you what you can do with watermelons and some greens. Usually when you think of watermelons, think of this. And that's great. On its own, a perfect meal. But what do you do with the rest of the watermelon? Well, what I do is I separate the two. This goes not in the garbage, but you can make some compost with that. And this goes on its own pile. Watermelon is extremely nutritious, and it would be a waste to throw the rind away when you could get something out of it if you have a juicer. So a fantastic thing to do is use the rinds, and you might think, well, why would I use the rinds? It doesn't taste good. What can I do with it? Well, even though there's just a little bit of the red part of the watermelon here, when it gets juiced, the flavor concentrates, and it is a mildly sweet juice that's very palatable. Now, to make this even more nutritious, a great combination is to get some greens, and today our greens are dandelions. Dandelions are extremely nutritious. They are quite bitter though. The bigger the dandelion, the longer the leaf, the more mature it is, the more bitter the flavor. However, mixed together with something naturally sweet, like a watermelon rind, it becomes the perfect synergistic combination. And you really do want to get as many greens as possible in your diet every day. Watermelon has many benefits, and the benefits of dandelion, the dandelion leaf, and you can eat the whole dandelion. The flower has a lot of lecithin, the roots have B-complex vitamins, and many other benefits. So what you need for this, and for any greens, is a slow juicer. This is an Omega juicer. It spins at 80 RPM. And it's very, very quiet. You can use it in the morning while everyone's asleep. You won't wake anyone up, and you'll have a great drink. This drink in specific is a great energy drink. And believe it or not, it tastes like cocoa. So it's the perfect morning or evening drink. And what we're going to do first, you always want to start juicing with the harder plant. And if you don't have a slow juicer, don't be discouraged. The other juicers out there are called centrifugal juicers. They're very loud, like you're turning on a blow dryer. And they're very cost effective though. So what you would want to do, you would want to take one piece of the watermelon rind, and you would take a couple of leaves, and you would want to put them around. Then you take another piece of watermelon rind and join them together like this, and if the opening is big enough, then you would push it into your centrifugal juicer. That way it presses it together and you get a higher yield. Now, dandelions are free. So, well, you can buy them at the store too, but you might as well get them out there in your yard because they're free. So don't spray your grass, okay? Keep it natural. But if you're buying greens, it really is a waste to push them down the centrifugal juicer because the yield is so low, you throw away a lot. And I would really recommend you would more than make up your money with a slow juicer like the Omega Vert 330 or 350. They're the same juicer, just in a different color. This is the 330. The 350 is a black and silver model, so just depending on your color difference. And this is the HD with the translucent yellow filter. Heavy duty. Does come with a long warranty, so it's well worth it. I've had this one for over 2 years, extremely satisfied. We use it pretty much every day in our family, and it really has contributed to our health significantly. Now, when you juice any kind of greens, you really want to drink them immediately, because they oxidize the fastest of any other plant. Now, I believe in the principle of good, better, best. really try to do what is good. And that's pretty much juicing. So no matter what juice you make on your own, it's going to be way better than any juice you're going to buy in the store. It's been driving around in a truck for who knows how long, sitting on that shelf. And really, you're losing a lot of valuable nutrients that way. In an emergency, if you really don't have anything better, that's way better than drinking other juices or sodas that come with a bunch of preservatives. So if you really had to, there's an exception, I guess, to everything. But you really want to focus on the good, and that would be doing your own juice as much as possible. It would be even better for you to drink it the same day, within 24 hours. It would be the best, absolute best, to drink it immediately within a couple of minutes of juicing, especially if you're juicing any kind of greens, because those are the most sensitive. And you can put it in the fridge for about 24 hours. That'll be fine, especially if they aren't greens, and it'll be okay. You will still benefit a lot from them. Now, another important thing when juicing is you really want your produce to be room temperature as much as possible. So let's say I've already cleaned up the watermelon and the rind is separated from the outside layer that's going to go into compost. And you can keep the rind outside for a good 12 hours covered. It's not going to spoil unless it's like over 80 degrees Fahrenheit, very hot, So use your common sense. But if you refrigerate it, what I would do is, if I'm going to juice in the morning, in the evening I would take it out of the fridge and just leave it at room temperature, so in the morning it's not freezing cold. And I recommend the same thing for the watermelon. If you're going to eat it for lunch, take it out in the morning so it somewhat warms up at room temperature. Now the reason for the room temperature is your stomach needs to warm everything up before it starts digesting it properly. So if you put something freezing cold inside, it's stressing your stomach. And guess what? Anything that stresses your stomach stresses you. And you don't need that. So treat your stomach well, and it's going to treat you fantastically. So that's the whole reason behind room temperature as much as possible. And warm is okay also, but then on the other end of that spectrum we have hot. Hot is no good for the stomach either. Too hot causes damage as well. So once we have everything room temperature and cut up and we're ready to go in the morning, and you could do this in 10 minutes, juice it real quick, even clean up the juicer, and you're good to go in the morning. So let's start juicing. So like I said, first we start with the hard part. We're going to put it in. And we put some greens in, like that. And we alternate, because we don't want the juicer to get clogged. And as you see, the benefits on this juicer is you don't have to push things in. You just drop it and it does its own thing. And pretty soon you're going to see the fibers go out on this side and the juice is going out on this side, separating it on its own in those pitchers that it came with. So you just keep going, dropping, alternating. It just pulls it in on its own. And before you know it, it's done. It's really quick. This was a little less than half of a pretty big watermelon, so you might choose to do just a portion of it and drink it right away, or you can do the whole thing and put it in the fridge and drink it later on. It's really good as a replacement for your evening meal. I would highly recommend that. It's extremely satisfying and tasty, so you really feel full after you drink this juice. So let's say I've had enough juice for now, and let's see what our yield is. We have about a cup and a half, 12 ounces. Now you can drink it like this, it's perfectly fine, The juice is a little bit pulpy in the omega 330 and 350 VRT, HD. But if you really want that super silky, smooth, cocoa-y texture and flavor, then what I recommend you do is you just take a strainer and get a nice mug or cup or glass and just strain it through. And there you go. There is very little fiber, as you can see, that went through. Just barely anything in there. But it really does make a difference in texture. So that's something that you might want to do. And it even has a real cocoa look to it. As you can see, dark cocoa-y color. And there's foam all over the top. A little bit of foaming happens due to the dropping of the juice. A little bit of oxygen does get in there. But as far as foaming goes and oxygenating the juice, this juicer really does well. You could minimize that if you were to place something under the spout so it would travel along that piece of material versus dropping in at the bottom, and that would minimize foaming. But it's okay. And it tastes fantastic. Like I said, it reminds me of cocoa, and I really used to like cocoa. Especially the aftertaste. There's a slight bitterness and earthiness to it. Tastes fantastic. But the even greater thing is, you feel fantastic. You drink this, within 10 minutes, you are firing on all cylinders, and you are up and about. You have this energy. You are really, really ready to have an all-living day. Another thing is, you might be tempted to gulp this all down in one fell swoop. Don't do that. The way you really want to drink your juices is, you want to sip your juices slowly. You see what I did? You want to remember to swish your juice in your mouth, because the saliva in your mouth is not just water. There's a lot of enzymes in that saliva, because your carbs actually start digesting in your mouth. And if you just chug things down, bypassing all that saliva, your stomach is going to have a harder time. And guess what? If your stomach is having a harder time, you're going to feel it. So treat your stomach well. Drink your juice slowly and enjoy, and have an all-living day. Till next time, God bless.